the most popular sketch on Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Is by far the substitute teacher sketch.
Right.
And it's interesting because when we were doing the show, it's such a clever premise. But when we were doing the show, I think when we sat around the day that the guy who pitched the scene pitched it, everyone went, "Oh, that's a great idea. That's a really solid idea for a sketch."
Yeah.
But nobody was blown away by it.
Yeah.
Because you know how like with community, like what's the most Andy Kaufman thing I can do?
Right.
What's the most Bob Odenkirk thing I can do? And that sketch just felt like a straightforward sketch.
Yeah.
300 million views later, you're going, well, why that one? And it doesn't. That's the best thing about our business. You'll never figure it out.
No, I know.
You're never going to figure it out.
I know.
It's breaking bread.
Hey, everybody. I just want to give a shout out. Thank you to all the people that have joined up on Patreon. Very exciting. You have stormed the gates, and now you're inside the studio, and it's been fun. People are leaving comments already. We actually have some ideas to change up the set based on what you have suggested, and it's really cool. I'm glad. It's a great way to support this podcast. We really thank you. It means a lot, so we can keep everything running here at Breaking Bread. Make sure to go to Patreon, look up Breaking Bread with Tom Papa, and join, and you get bonus episodes, you get bonus material, you get extended stuff, and also some separate material from out on tour and things like that. It's a work in progress, and also tell us what more you want to see. Do you like getting just extra parts of the podcast, or do you want some original stuff? Is there something on your mind? Maybe you want to see the rest of the crew. Who knows what? But that's the great part about it, is that it's a very fun, active addition to the podcast. So thank you, everybody who has joined up. And if you haven't, welcome. You should go check it out. Also, I'd like to thank the good people at tompapa.com. Oh, man, what a great organization that is. They're always eager to sponsor. And we love having them because that's how you find out about the Grateful Bread Tour. I'm all over the place. I'm going to Thousand Oaks and Portland next week. We've got a big show at the Beacon in New York City on May 3rd, Easton, Pennsylvania. We're going to Clearwater, Florida. We're going to Atlanta. It goes on and on. Lots of dates, more dates coming out for the fall really soon. So go to tompapa.com, and that gives you a link to everything on the tour. And we also are going to have some big bread announcements soon there, too. So thank you to all the people at tompapa.com. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you for being here. If we were in L.A., I would have baked you bread.
Oh, yeah? Do you do that?
Yes, that is my thing. That's where the name of the pod came from, because I bake bread like crazy.
So we can break it, but you also bake it.
That's right.
That's what. Yeah,
Exactly.
I was looking for a subtitle where we break it.
Yeah.
And I bake it. I'm going to workshop it, Tom. I'll figure it out.
Congratulations on your book.
Thank you very much.
It's fantastic.
We're really, really, really happy with it.
Yeah. And I've written a couple of books as well. And there's always the thing of, are they going to get what it's about in the title? Like, do they, like, all my books are, you're doing great, and other reasons to stay alive.
Right.
Like it's like, can we just let it live, or do people need to be force-fed exactly what this book is?
Right. We went the other route. We just went. It's like,
yeah, but graphically you did.
Graphically, yeah. So basically,
the art of sketch comedy.
So it's the history of sketch comedy, a journey through the art and craft of humor. So it's actually so it does have like a double meaning, because I mean, the title says it's specifically about sketch comedy, but it is. But the breadth of it, of the history that we talk about,
right,
is thousands of years,
right?
So you all the way back to the first. We actually talk about the first recorded joke ever, which was what? I'm just going to say Assyrians, isn't that Sumerians?
The Sumerians.
The joke is. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
Through time immemorial, there has never been a young woman who didn't fart on her husband's lap. I mean, Tom, I'm sorry, I don't have any context. I have no context for the joke, but apparently it was a knee slapper to the Sumerians. That's the first recorded joke. The first recorded joke is a fart joke.
Right.
These are the people that created the wheel
and the world.
and the world, and not, I was gonna say aviation. What's in the water? Naval.
Boats.
Get just basic words. Boats, wheels, math,
water. We are Sumerians.
but so we start there, and it was interesting because so my partner Elle, who you've met, she had an idea for this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's almost 10 years ago now. But this book is based on a podcast, which is based on the idea for this book. Originally, she wanted to write a book. And she's like, this is something that we love. It's actually something that brought us together.
Right.
Was talking about jokes and comedy. And she goes, I want to write a book. And then eventually somebody had talked to us about, what might be nice is to do a podcast. And so we wrote a 10-part podcast.
Right.
And what Elle did is ostensibly she kind of just went, I'm going to figure out how to weave all this together. What I want to do is just open up Keegan's brain, get a bunch of stories about his life since I have a career in sketch comedy.
Right.
And weave those stories through the actual history of what we know as sketch comedy. She's brilliant. She did such a great job. And we did the podcast. And then she said, then we're like, okay, now what if we write the book? Let's put it on the printed page. And we did the book. And now we've just done the audio book.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny, back to the fart thing.
Yeah.
Mozart, in the time of Mozart, I was reading he loved fart jokes. Mozart loved fart jokes.
I believe it.
He loved fart jokes. He was kind of, he was this brilliant, clownish.
If the way Tom Hulse portrayed him in Amadeus is accurate, then that's the kind of guy that would love fart jokes.
Yeah, exactly. And there was written stuff about it. And it was big humor back then.
Oh, yeah.
And let's be honest, if we weren't such comedy snobs, it's guaranteed laugh.
Guaranteed laugh.
Guaranteed laugh.
Guaranteed laugh.
I try my best to not be hacky and try and create my art with integrity. But I don't think I've laughed harder in recent years than when we were with a family get together, like nieces, nephews, my kids, my parents, and I had a fart machine, and I was hitting farts, and my mother was getting angry. So I'd be like, whomp, and she'd be like, Tommy, stop it. And it brought out the child in me.
Of course.
And I just kept, Tommy, will you please stop it? And then everybody else starts laughing.
Yep.
I was crying laughing from a fart machine.
Now, here's an interesting thing, if I may. How does your mom not know that makes it funnier? Yeah. The angrier she gets, the funny. Do you understand? The angrier you get, the funnier the. It's weird that it's actually there's an excerpt in the book.
Yeah,
I think Jordan Peele talks about that we laugh at the forbidden. We laugh at the things, even though it's almost. I mean, we can argue this philosophically, right? Or sociologically. I think farting is more natural than violence.
Yeah.
But you can just chop anybody's arms off, chop their dicks off, set them on fire and throw them off a cliff. Fine, that's in the movie.
Yeah.
But you know how it's like sex, and you talk about sex.
Yeah.
But oh God, we can't show sex. And we're still doing that.
Yeah.
It's 2025.
Yeah, it's
I remember
weird.
that being a thing.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s, that was a thing. It's still a thing.
Yeah.
But I jumped one lane over. We're on the 405.
Right.
Cynthia, we're on the 405, but we'll be moving to the 495. That's just for your wife.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I'm with you. You want to go. It's funny that you say snobs because it makes me think of the most popular sketch on Key and Peele.
Yeah,
is by far the substitute teacher sketch.
Right.
And it's interesting because when we were doing the show, it's such a clever premise. But when we were doing the show, I think when we sat around the day that the guy who pitched the scene pitched it, everyone went, "Oh, that's a great idea. That's a really solid idea for a sketch."
Yeah.
But nobody was blown away by it.
Yeah.
because you know how like with community, like what's the most Andy Kaufman thing I can do?
Right.
What's the most Bob Odenkirk thing I can do? And that sketch just felt like a straightforward sketch.
Yeah.
300 million views later, you're going, well, why that one? And it doesn't. That's the best thing about our business. You'll never figure it out.
No, I know.
You're never gonna figure it out.
I know. I mean, there's a randomness to all of it. You're the best planning and stuff, but then the randomness. Like I remember reading Steve Martin's book, and like the Wild and Crazy Guy or the bunny ear, like like all this kind of stuff wasn't like this is gonna kill.
Yep.
It was kind of an afterthought, and I may be messing up his examples, but there are iconic things that he had in his act that were afterthoughts that just stuck.
But yeah, and you cannot figure out why that struck the zeitgeist the way that it did.
Well, but with Substitute, which is so, I mean, I two things I think that make it so funny. The casting of those kids,
kids is perfect.
They're so to your insane temper tantrum and rage.
Yeah.
And that they can't say anything, but they're the way that high school kind of messy hair, bad skin, like, why is this happening to me? Kind of, they all have a great way of silently conveying it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I wanted to ask this because it's with a lot of your sketches and with all great sketches, I kind of think it's within 2 lines you get the premise is set.
Yeah.
Like we're not kind of finding it. Like you lay out within 2 lines we know, oh, we've set where this is going.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna fill it with jokes. Who's good with that is Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers.
I love that
within
show.
a couple minutes, they lay out both storylines that are going to happen in such an elegant way.
Yeah. And that's the art.
Yeah.
The art is how organically you can do the setup.
Right.
So can you do it organically? And can you get some laughs while you're doing the setup?
Right.
That's, like you said, the term is, can you do it in an elegant manner?
Yeah.
Can you do it in an organic and elegant way? That to me was probably one of the strong suits of our writing staff as a whole. To be quite frank, I mean, Jordan was absolutely at the top of his powers as a writer at the time. And somebody had suggested that we work together again. And I was like, me work with him? Absolutely.
Right.
That guy is like about to become the greatest sketch writer in the history of the world. It was, I appreciate you saying that. We really had a good time. I mean, that was part of, like, Elle and I would sit around and talk about stuff. And we talk about the science of jokes. My wife, she has an encyclopedic knowledge of jokes.
Right.
And I think the first dinner we worked together. We started a production company together. Started working together before we got married.
Oh, okay. And she's a New Yorker.
She's a New Yorker. She is also she was in the independent film world for over 20 years.
Got it.
And she made, which to me is insane. Like, she produced 8 independent films. If you can make 1 independent film
in your life,
and to have like in your life and have it do anything, and I think I had met her. We met at Sundance, but I met her after she had a couple of stints at Sundance and had films that were sold there. She had a production company. She financed movies.
Wow.
She produced movies. She was in movies. She's done every job you can do on a movie. She's done.
Wow.
And she's also an incredible. If you get a hard copy of our book, one of the best things in the book are her illustrations.
Oh.
She's an illustrator. That was her major in college,
wow.
And she's really just quite. Like, she's a Renaissance woman.
So she must have started film young.
Oh, I mean, out of college, she did. I mean, I went to graduate school. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Like, and she got into life. She's like, I'm going to do life
In New York, and stayed in New York.
What's that?
In New York.
In New York and LA. She was back and forth a lot, and she produced really great films. She's really, really good. She's just a wonderful multitasker,
right?
An effective multitasker.
Yeah.
Wonderful is not typically the word we use, but she's a touchy-feely multitasker, which is exactly what she is, which is interesting because it's kind of a unicorny thing to be a kind of really fun person, a warm person, but also be like a very efficient multitasker.
Right, exactly that.
You don't get that often.
Yeah.
So that's her background. She was an illustration major, but she always wanted to be in film.
So, and then you're in Detroit.
Yep.
And you're growing up in Detroit and you're being influenced by watching your family digest comedy. And
I mean, for me, I was my father was a very stoic guy. In fact, I think we might have a chapter in the book that's called "The First Time I Saw My Father Laugh" or "The First Time I Heard My Father Laugh."
Right.
Because my dad was really stoic guy. He was like a big guy. He was like, 6'4", 240, but he had this cackling laugh, and he thought that Eddie Murphy was I'm in my 50s, so he thought Eddie Murphy was the second coming of Flip Wilson,
right?
Yeah, and
he was right,
and he was absolutely right, like times 5 or times 10,
yeah.
And so that was my influence. I just didn't understand what this wonderful thing was I was witnessing in front of me, which was that 84 to 86 world, that cast, Kroger, Piscopo, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Eddie Murphy, Brad Hall, those people. Yeah. That's my entrance into SNL.
Yeah.
And into Chris Guest and Marty Short and Billy Crystal.
Just insane.
Insane. Yeah.
So when you and your wife, when Elle hook up, she's doing all these films, but does she have a comedy?
She has a comedy background. In college, she worked on a sketch show in college, and then she also she took stand-up classes here in the city. She worked on a TV show, a sketch comedy TV show at Syracuse. Syracuse has one of the greatest communications departments in the world.
Yeah.
And
so she had comedy on her mind.
Oh yeah, and she grew up. She went to Catskills when she was a kid. The first time we met, what did she tell me? She told me a joke. Oh, she told me this joke, and I said, "You have jokes? Tell me a joke." So she tells me this joke, and she goes, "There's this little kid, and he's sitting on a bench, and he's smoking a cigarette, and this man walks up to him, and he says, 'Hey kid, smoking cigarettes is really bad for your health. You really shouldn't do that.'" And the kid looks at the man, and he goes, "My grandfather's 95 years old." He goes, "What, your grandfather's 95 years old and he's a smoker?" And he goes, "No, he minds his own fucking business." And I burst. We were in a restaurant, and I just burst into laughter.
Right.
And she goes, "You've never heard that joke?" And I go, "No." So then she tells me another joke, and she goes, "You've never heard that joke?" I'm like, "I'm telling you, no."
Wow.
I said, "Listen, I'm a little Catholic black boy from Detroit. I don't know these jokes. I don't know what a bagel is. I don't know what a schmear is. Right. I'm from Detroit. We eat coney fries and coney dogs. I don't know. That's as close as I get to New York is a coney dog, and not." I was like, I do not know these jokes, and she grew up on these, singing when she was a kid, seeing Jackie Mason and Alan King, and and so she knows that one of her talents is being able to write not just a funny scenario, a funny hard joke, right, a setup punchline joke.
Yeah, that's that style, and she also, you can tell just from the way you're describing her way that she can work, she is free enough and funny enough, but also that militant producer part is cataloging all of it.
That's right. And this goes there,
right? And
if you would put this here, and then and then sometimes another part of her brain is thinking about the marketing of it.
Right.
Like this can work that way. It's very. She's like a good tactician. Understands strategy because that, like you said, that producerial part of her goes. But if we put it together this way, it would be easier for that to happen, or for this to sell, or for the crew to finish their day on time.
Jeez.
It's amazing that her brain works that way. Where most writers are just
and a lot of comedians can't remember street jokes.
They can't.
I can't remember jokes. I can't remember
what's a street joke?
Like what she told.
Oh, she just told me a joke
jokes
like
that the people are just sharing on the street.
Yeah.
Those kind of jokes. It's like, I can't remember those at all.
I have such a hard time. I can't believe I remember this one.
I know, it's crazy. We do a thing here also. This conversation's going great, but we also have other questions.
Yeah.
That if you feel like you're getting bored, you can actually request time for one, or I could just throw them out at you.
Oh, I can actually request a question.
You could just be like,
can I have
let's change it up.
Let's change it up and do a breaking bread question.
How ticklish are you?
This makes me a little nervous, to be honest with you. I'm less Let me say that again. I'm less ticklish now than I used to be, and that makes me nervous. Are my nerve endings getting older? Do nerve endings get numb? Or what's happening?
I went deeper. Are you getting? Are you losing your Peter Pan?
Maybe, yes.
Are you getting old?
Am I getting too crusty and walled in?
And you're like, I don't like those tickles.
Leave me alone! Don't you dare, Tom.
But you are very youthful.
I am ticklish. I think physiologically speaking,
yeah,
I'm actually quite ticklish.
Where?
This is gonna sound crazy, like in the old 1930s places. Armpit, like in the Three Stooges places. Like I don't have anything interesting. It's not like the back of my ankle, or it's like where Mo would tickle Curly. You know what I mean? Or the Little Rascals. It's like
my father's similar to your father. Sounds a little shorter, but the same guy.
Two of your dads makes one of my dads.
Like two mountains, two stoic mountains, but they can break. And my father he's like, big hard fingers, and he would tickle by poking. Poking here, poking back here, like in the lower back,
in the gizzard.
Yeah, in the gizzard,
right in the old gizzard.
Every time I see him, I'm like flinching.
Don't.
Because he's coming in. Do you put on sock first or pants first?
Oh, I put on socks first.
Socks first.
I mean, it varies. If I'm rushing and not thinking about it, I'll put my pants on first, and then I'll curse the day.
And then stuff them up.
And then you got to pull the pant leg up to get this.
And try and go wide around.
Go wide around.
Yeah.
Why didn't I put the sock on first? I make a concerted effort to put the sock on first. I'm also I don't know if you're this guy. When it comes to button-down shirts, what I do is I'll unbutton two buttons and I just slide the shirt over the top of my head. That's how lazy I am. I will not unbutton the shirt all the way and take it off like this. The cameras are getting this, right, Mike?
Yeah.
You're getting the visual? Yeah. Instead, I will unbutton two buttons and slide it off. I think it's from being in tons of wardrobe fittings.
Right.
So I want to be conscious of the wardrobe, of the costume designer's time and my time. So if I just flip it off.
Yeah.
Just hand me that one. And she goes, let me get the buttons. I'm like, I got it. Just slide it on over.
It's so funny. I literally was just thinking about this because I did a part on a TV show, and they had already done my hair and makeup, and then they sent me. I was a guest, so then they sent me over to wardrobe, and I was taking it off, and I did the sleeves first, so I could then go wide around the thing and go. And the costume designer was like frustrated. She's like, "Just take it off. What are you doing? Who takes a shirt off like that?" I was like, I'm in makeup. And you're so like young and just like on it, I know exactly. I don't want to get fired. Like
that's the whole thing.
Everybody can fire me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I took it off, and I literally to this day am like, if I ever go sleeve first and then take it, I feel her yelling at me.
You can hear it.
Back to the bread. I didn't bake you bread, but this is a great Vesuvio is a great bakery on Prince Street, so I brought you cookies.
1920?
Yeah.
1930. Wow.
Let me see. Can I see with
say
my eyes?
1920 or 30?
With my glasses, I can't see it.
Really?
Yeah. So
Vesuvio. We might make new stickers.
Yeah, it might be Sumerian cookies.
It could be Sumerian. That says bakery and catering, and then something in Sumerian, and underneath it. Yeah.
When you talk about you and Jordan working together, like if just as a fun thought, is there a thing? There's like a moment. The great sketch shows, Chappelle, you guys, SNL at different times because of its longevity. Is there a cultural moment that you kind of have to hit? You know what I mean? Like you kind of get your. I always think of it like in terms of like Conan's show. Conan came out. He got this group of young people that were into it.
Yep.
And then they ride with you. And you guys had the same thing. You just kind of like, it was a spark and it just exploded. And you had your army. Could you come back and, I mean, your old fans would show up.
Yep.
But even like, let's take it away from you guys. Does sketch have to be of the moment?
I mean,
this is a good question because your book is the history of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and some stuff stands the test of time and some doesn't.
Right.
I'm asking 1,000 questions at once.
Right. But I think the most germane question is what, and that's the statement you just made. Can it stand the test of time? I 100% believe it can. At Key and Peele, we were actually faced with a challenge that I think ultimately helped the show's longevity, which is that because our writing process was so long, we never had an opportunity to write topical sketches. We never had an opportunity to embrace the moment. There were some moments that were embraced. Again, I use the word organically. Jordan and I are both biracial. At the time, we had just elected a biracial man to be the president of the United States.
Right.
So that I think to the people at Comedy Central meant a lot. And we just knew, let's figure out what we can do to make the strongest premises and the funniest sketches we can, and then let's slap some social stuff on top of it. If it's not foundationally funny,
right?
So foundationally funny, so that it's just going to make anybody laugh, and then we have to write evergreen scenes.
Right.
We have to write scenes about the human condition.
Right.
And so the result of that ended up being that somebody who's 32. Or 35, which is a person who would have watched our show in their 20s 10 years ago, and somebody who is 15 right now, like a Gen Alpha kid, can both go, I saw that sketch where you guys are doing the texting and you're confused about what it means. That's great, because that'll work until they start putting chips in our head and we do the texting that way. That sketch will hopefully work. So I think that it can. There are Monty Python sketches that are just about class, rich people and poor people.
Right.
And some of the Monty Python sketches have, I was going to say a tinge of absurdism. They're fully absurd.
Yeah.
So they'll last the test of time because of the absurdity of the sketch. Or the esotericness of the sketch.
Yeah. Were you conscious of references?
Well, what we were conscious of, Tom, was that we couldn't use them.
Right.
And then during the second election, the Romney-Obama election, we did at one point in time a small little flash in our history. We set up a set in our offices where we could do a Luther Obama sketch. You know, where Luther, Obama's anger translator.
Yeah.
We could do one of those sketches like one a week, or anytime we wanted to if something happened. And what was interesting is those didn't hit as well as just the very first Luther Obama sketch, which was conceptual. No matter what the topic was, the beauty of the sketch is that you go, Obama's a guy who doesn't get angry. So when does he get angry? Does he go behind closed doors and hit walls? When does this guy get angry? Oh, let's get him a surrogate who can be angry for him. And that was enough. It didn't matter what he was talking about.
Right.
And so I feel like there's a flash in time. Like, one of my favorite sketch shows ever is that Mitchell and Webb look, which is an English sketch show, and made by the creators of a show called Peep Show that was on the BBC, and then also Mr. Show with Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. And I feel like those shows, there are sketches on those shows that 100% would still work now. That I think that when the premise is strong, and I don't know if they were striving for evergreen sketches, but when the premise is strong, it can last for. I mean, some of these Monty Python sketches, we're talking almost 50 years old. Some of these sketches, you know, and some of them over 50 years old. So that's my answer. Is that I kind of strong. I mean, for the book, we interviewed a number of people, and we had the opportunity, which was amazing. Elle got to interview Mel Brooks.
Oh yeah, I interviewed him once.
Oh, so how impressive is that guy?
God, did you interview him too?
I mean, I was on the phone. I was recording the interview.
Okay,
so
yeah.
My job was to transcribe the interview, and Elle was doing most of the talking. Yeah,
Isn't it crazy? Like you literally feel that guy's energy, like
100%.
Just his human machinery.
Yep.
That he churns out.
Yeah,
is just I've never experienced it before.
Me either. And that was on the phone.
And then it's all focused to comedy is just a dream.
It's why he's going to live to be 112, you know what I mean, or 115 years old. But he was telling us about a sketch that they did that was very topical. That he talked about this sketch where they were building all these new apartment buildings after the war, after World War II in New York City, and they were done very cheaply. And he said that there were walls. The walls were so thin that depending on where a person's television set was in their apartment, you could see the glow through the wall, like a blue glow on the wall. And they wrote this sketch, which was really just an excuse for Sid, Caesar, who was a big guy, to get up and walk through the walls. He just smashed through the walls. That would of course not work today.
Yeah.
And the first thing that Mel ever wrote was very topical. He wrote, they used to do, I'm calling it The Stars, but that's not the name. The Stars of 52. It wasn't called The Stars. I'm forgetting. They used to do this review thing, Tom, on Broadway, where there'd be young starlets and young men who would showcase their talents, and people would go to the theater to see them and go,
oh, wow.
These are the new stars.
That's cool.
Mel got to write a sketch for this. It was the something of 52. And he wrote a sketch that was like about the Death of the Salesman. Death of a Salesman was the hottest play.
Yeah.
And he wrote a opposite Death of a Salesman where the father was a thief and the kid went to an Ivy League school and got all A's. And the mother says to the kid, well, they have an argument and they blow up and the father leaves and the kid's, I got all A's. He goes, what are you doing? You should be out there stealing. And his dad runs away and his mother, he goes, I got all A's. And she looks at him and goes, you're killing him for being so successful. That premise could work right now.
Yeah.
On whatever, fucking Hamilton or whatever play is on right now. The premise works.
Right, yeah.
But that was a very topical subject.
At the time. Right, exactly.
Yeah. But the premise is good.
Because a lot of times I'll be in the car and listen to Sirius XM, the classic radio, which it's just fun just to drop in. You don't even know what's going on in these.
Just right in the
there's
middle
some
of it.
drama, there's some comedy. And it's interesting with the comedy, things as small as them just referencing someone popular at the time, like that's like a Moss thing or whatever. It takes you out of it. Like just one word about something that I'm not a part of, I don't know, and I have to think, oh, that must have been a writer at the time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the whole premise could be current and universal and timeless, but if it's peppered with even the slightest bit of
topicality.
Yeah.
We did a sketch. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I want you to finish your thought.
Did you ever see the Jack Benny Christmas one in Macy's? You could see it on YouTube.
Oh, I'll look
Jack
it up.
Benny is shopping in Macy's, and he's getting a Christmas present for his wife, and Mel Bugs Bunny,
wow,
who did Bugs Bunny and all those
and
great
all those voices,
voices,
Yosemite Sam and Daphne.
He is the guy working behind the counter who is wrapping the gift for Jack Benny, and Jack Benny. Every time that Mel Blanc is like, it's all done, sir. Here it is. I put a bow on it. Oh, one thing. Would you mind putting a card inside? Sure, sir. And he goes back and has to do it again. And he does it like 4 times.
Yeah, right.
Where he keeps doing it, unwrapping it, and having it. He's like, wait a minute. And Mel Bugs Bunny is coming out of it. Like, I mean, that's probably 1948.
Yeah.
And
You'll laugh right now.
You'll laugh right now.
We did. There's a sketch. I adore Nichols and May. And so we do this Nichols and May sketch where it feels very urbane. It feels very early 60s New York.
Yeah.
Because of the way Mike speaks. So, but it could work today. But it's just interesting. It's like what you were saying about Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
It's atmospheric, you know? But there's this thing. So you just hear this voice, and it's Mike had this very kind of silky, very New York kind of upper class voice.
Yeah.
And he's playing a doctor, and he's I keep saying Nurse Radetzky is the nurse's name, but what's her name? I can't remember what the character that Elaine plays, but he's saying her name. God, I can't believe I'm blanking on this.
Yeah.
He's saying her name, and he's like Mrs. Lutsky, not Lutsky, but I can't remember. But she's coming out of anesthetic, and she's like, yes, doctor. And he's like, yes, I was wondering. I just wanted to stop by and see how you were feeling. And let me ask you a question. She goes, oh yeah, my intravenous slipped out. Yeah, let's not worry about that right now. It's 1960, and he goes, was Nurse Radetzky in here? And she goes, Nurse, who? And he goes, Nurse Radetzky, the tall, very terribly attractive nurse. Was she in here? I don't know. I think you think she was in here? And she goes, yes, no, she came. She came in. She was here. And he goes, Mrs. whatever her name is, which is escaping me. He goes, did she ask about me? And you realize in that moment, because he went on a date. He went on a date with the nurse, and he just wants to know if she said anything to her about the date. And it's just fantastic.
It's great.
Those moments. Those moments when you see it's those human moments where you go, this could work.
Yeah. Because back to the Sumerian of it all and the fart joke of it all.
Yeah.
This is such a dumb thing to admit, but I'm dumb. Whenever I would think as a young person about people from the Bible or people from ancient past, I pictured them as maybe 2 degrees from cavemen.
Exactly. Everybody.
Like I just picture, well, that's so long ago. Those people,
they weren't smart.
I mean, come on. What were they about? What could
they have known?
The reality is exactly the same, emotionally intelligent, and exactly the same except for all the modern conveniences and stuff that we have. They were exactly the same.
You can't say that if you showed a cell phone, if you showed a YouTube video to William Shakespeare, he would respond to it the way a chimpanzee responds to a mirror.
Right.
That doesn't make him stupid. He would have no reference for what this is. Like he would know, that to him, that would be sorcery. That would be like something he wrote in The Tempest.
Right, but the things that he
did know.
That he would know, but even just looking at that, once he got a grip on it, he would react. I mean,
he'd be fine.
Yeah, because he's like kind of the bridge for my mental lapse was like, oh, this guy was more in tune than anyone today.
That's right, exactly.
About our emotions and envy and jealousy and rage and love and all of these things. The human being has not changed.
We've not changed at all.
At all.
And it's funny that we think somehow this is what's funny. Somehow we also think, in my opinion, that they were somehow less curious than we are. Right. If anything, they were more curious.
Right, yeah.
We know everything.
Yeah.
They don't know. Galileo? Galileo's not
freaking people out.
It's like people were thinking about shit. They weren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were not, it's funny. I think most people, we do the same thing. We go, it's the 1920s. They just didn't understand.
Yeah.
Vaccines and atoms.
Yeah.
I think they knew probably more about atoms than I think they knew.
Yeah.
In 1926.
It's really,
Yeah.
And in the arts, it's really like technique. It's like, like when you watch old movies, like my kids would have they would rebel against, I would be like, you've got to watch The Apartment with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, and they would see black and white and just like, I can't.
They can't go there.
I just can't.
Yeah.
But it's everything that they're living now. The Apartment is as scandalous as Succession. Right.
I mean,
yeah.
you know what I mean? If not more so, it's a little sadder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God,
It's
yeah.
more, it's way, not morbid, but it's just sad. It's just sadder than some of the most hard-hitting stuff we have now.
It's such a
God,
beautiful
The
movie.
Apartment.
The neighbor who comes over, the doctor who goes to help. I mean, oh my God. All right, this is time for a good question. This is good. Do you have a recurring dream now or as a kid? Do you or did you ever have a recurring dream?
I'm not very good at remembering my dreams, but you know what is in my dreams a lot? Bats.
Really?
I'm not afraid of them necessarily.
Uh-huh.
But bats. I remember bats being in my dreams as a kid. And every now and again when I'm kind of in REM sleep and you're remembering the dream, bats come up. Isn't
They
that
come up,
interesting?
but not as a threat.
Not as a threat.
Interesting.
Not as a threat, which is interesting.
I performed last weekend in Wisconsin, in Madison, at a theater. I think it was called Orpheum, and they have bats in the ceiling. And every once in a while, you'll hear a comic or a performer say like a bat.
I just saw a bat.
Fell out or came out. And my opening act, Stephen Rogers, it's his greatest fear.
Really?
And we were all like hush hush around him, like we were talking to like the stagehands and stuff, and we're like, has there been any bats recently? They're like, no, it's been a couple months. We haven't had any bats. We're like, okay, don't tell Stephen. Don't tell Stephen. He's like, but we might be due. I mean, it's been a couple months. Shit.
Don't say that. Don't put that out there. We might be due.
I think it's their what's the more disturbing part of a bat? Is it their little hands that are attached to the wing, or is it their little mushy faces?
I think their faces are cute. It's the hand. It's the, what is that? That little claw thing. Yeah. So it's a single digit.
Yeah.
Coming up off the little leathery wing. It's not, it's unbecoming. Yeah. They are curious. Last year I shot a movie in Australia. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow. They call them flying foxes. Tom, they're like this big.
No.
They're like this big.
That's one bat?
That's one bat. Yeah, and they're just up there, and you look up, and you're like, look at, because your brain doesn't go bat first. It always goes monkey. So you just, because no one's looking up bat videos online. You're looking up monkey videos. Everybody's looking up monkey videos. No one's looking up a bat video. And you go, what is that? Oh, that's a straight bat.
Oh my God.
And then when they're flying across the air and their wingspan, the wingspan's like this table. It's really,
Stephen would have a stroke.
Stephen would have a stroke, yes. Poor Stephen Rogers.
Where would you rather live? In a tree, a cave, or Staten Island?
A tree, a cave, or Staten Island? I think, I gotta tell you, I love a view. So
yeah,
I'd probably
a
tree, because most trees are going to be taller than the majority of structures in Staten Island. So I probably would prefer.
Yeah, you could have a nice tree house. Like,
if I can have a tree house, then definitely a tree.
Yeah, I don't think you have to just be sitting on a branch in the rain.
Okay,
you could build something.
Because I was literally thinking, do I have to find a nice crook in the tree? I got to find just a nice little crook spot, so the bark, so I can lean, but I'm not getting too much barkage.
Caves, I feel like I wouldn't breathe well in a cave.
I feel like I just know that I need the vitamin D. We all need the vitamin D, Tom.
It's really true.
The cave does not provide vitamin D. And so, but even though I like it to be super dark when I'm sleeping, but I don't want it to be super dark all the time,
How, like, if you're in a hotel and it's bedtime and you like, I'll just leave that. I won't do the black shades for that window. I'll just do you have to get up and then close it because it's too much light?
What I do is I put electrical tape on all of the, the little red light on the TV, on the electronics.
You do? So you have electrical tape in your carry-on?
In my DOP kit.
Really?
There's electrical tape in our DOP kit, yeah. And we just literally ordered some electrical tape off of the Amazon.
This is brilliant.
Yeah. And so we put, and then I get up on a chair and I put electrical tape on the thing, or on the, what is it? The
fire alarm.
Alarm. Yeah. And then we always, and sometimes Elle and I have put, I'm telling you, this is true.
This is great.
I will bring like Duvetine, like black like black drapage. And if there's no like.
If you can't, it's too big to take.
If they don't have blackout curtains, I've got to contend with it.
Oh, really?
Because if the sunlight comes through, I'm up.
So you'll wedge it onto the window somehow?
Or like prop a decorative pillow against it. So, we do not play.
Wow.
We do not play.
So I think the answer to this question is you already live in a cave.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I prefer to live in a tree, but then I have to have an eye mask when I sleep.
And an eye mask?
Sometimes I do an eye mask if I know there's too many cracks in the room.
Right.
And then other times I go, be disciplined, leave those cracks there, because when you go to sleep, hopefully the sun will come through and you'll get up. So I can establish a proper circadian rhythm.
I know that's an important thing.
Yeah.
Wow, the eye mask, it's always ends up around my neck or.
Oh really? Yeah. Or you end up here, and you just look. And then if you get up and go to the bathroom, and then you forget it's
the
there.
Tape is brilliant. Like I'll take the extra towels and put them over.
It's an electrical tape, and it's easy to take off when you leave. Just use it a flip,
It's so brilliant. Oh my god!
If it was brilliant. So that means it's Elle's idea. That means that that means that she came up with that.
All right. Let me ask you this, because my other pet peeve in hotels, usually the budget hotels, is a bathroom fan. They can't turn it off, or it's the vent. It's not the fan; it's the vent, the air con for the whole system.
And you can't. And you can't stop it. I was just in a hotel recently.
Yeah.
I just was in a hotel where I turned off the AC.
Yeah.
And then I must have hit auto instead of off. 3:00 in the morning. And then you're like, what is going? And then it goes off, and you're like, oh, it must be done. And then I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm not sure what I did, but that I know exactly that vent in the ceiling in the bathroom.
It can't.
The worst.
It's a killer.
I
think it really wears on your nervous system.
It does, because you're not getting any deep sleep.
No,
you're not getting any deep sleep. I've got my Aura ring on, so I'm thinking about deep sleep, light sleep.
What is the Aura ring?
So you buy these rings, and they put. I guess there must be a pulsy thing here, right? You wear it on your first finger.
Okay.
And then I have an app, and I open up the app, and it tells me how long I slept in deep sleep, light sleep, and REM sleep. How many times did you wake up in the night, actually wake up so you were conscious, and then went back down into a sleep state. It also tells you about heart rate, blood flow, oxygen flow.
Whoa.
How many steps you took. It's really great.
Is it pretty accurate? Like
it's pretty accurate. I mean, as far as I know.
How do you
not
sleep?
Sleeping well.
You don't sleep well.
I 76 to an 81, which is fair to good.
Okay.
And I think one day I slept and I got an 86. Too many screens. Isn't that everybody? It's literally, I'm not saying
before
anything,
you go to bed?
Too many screens before I go to bed. I gotta cut down on the screens.
Yeah.
I don't ramp. I'll be like, what? This is bad. I'm at Sports Center. I'm watching Sports Center.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, great. Yeah. Oh, the Pistons won. And then I put the phone down and go like that. You're not. It's not good.
That's not good.
It's not good.
Well, we're going to have to keep in touch, because when you stop with the screens, I want to know if people our age can ever get good sleep again. I'm not sure.
I'm 100%. Tom, I'm so with you. I can't tell you how with you I am. Maybe it's just what happens when you're older.
Yeah. I kind of feel like, do you remember, and I know this is exactly how you woke up, because I know your energy and your joy for life. But when you were a kid, you would bounce out of bed. Let's go. And you would you run into, who's up? Let's go. What are we eating? What are we doing today? And now I was the same way. And now I get up and it's like a bear coming out of a coma.
Yeah. Out of hibernation. Yeah, exactly.
What do I have to do today?
What's happening today? And then also my favorite thing, can I just tell you my favorite thing?
Yes.
Is when I do wake up in the middle of the night and I'm kind of conscious and I lean over, it's like in slow motion. I'm like, oh, clock, please say 2:30. Say one something so that I can sleep for 6 more hours.
Yes.
And it's my favorite thing.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I feel like I've been sleeping a long time. But it's 1:47.
And I went to sleep at midnight. Yeah. You're like, yes! It's only been 90 minutes. And that's my new favorite thing.
Yeah.
Remember when you were a teenager? And everything's, because you're only half baked.
Yeah.
So everything's still growing.
Yeah.
The sleep.
So
sublime,
great.
sublime.
Could be on a floor. Could be on a milk crate.
In a milk crate, yeah. Bed of nails.
Yeah, and lights everywhere, fans everywhere.
You're gone. Like 7 straight hours of deep sleep, straight from like consciousness to deep sleep.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I want to report. I want to report.
I will report. I will call you, Tom. I will call and go, hey, I got a 92 yesterday on my sleep. It can be done. I mean, if I could.
Take me to Detroit. Was this recent? I saw on Instagram not too long ago.
It was last week.
It was last week.
Was that
the first time you threw out the first pitch?
Yes.
First time.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, because you grew up as a Tigers fan.
I grew up a Tigers fan. Yep.
This is big.
So I was a kid. So I was, what was I, 13? I was 13 when they won the World Series in '84.
Beautiful.
And I'd been a Tigers fan ever since. And I used to work at the Second City Comedy Theater across the street from what is now known as Comerica Park.
Right.
We watched them while we were rehearsing the show. We watched them build the ballpark. So they tore down our old ballpark, and they were going to build a new one. So they were building the new one, and it was directly across the street from where I worked.
And where were you working?
I worked at the Second City in Chicago. There was a Second City in Detroit. And there was a building there that was built, and it had a restaurant in it and the theater in it. So we'd come out from rehearsal for a coffee break or a cigarette break or a water break, and just look across the street at the construction. And I think we even were allowed, all of the employees of the company that built the stadium, we went over and we signed like a girder.
Wow.
So there's a girder over there, with my signature on it.
Amazing.
And so it was a big deal for me.
That's a big deal.
And my partner, my Elle, knowing it was a big deal, was like, do you want to practice?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's practice. And so we literally, I got a pitching coach.
You did?
For a day. He was very nice. This guy helped us out for a day. And then the even better thing is we got to go to Detroit the day before the game. And I got to get on the mound.
Oh, wow.
So here's the real distance.
Wow.
Here's the mound. Here's the elevation. Figure out my release point. You were not messing around. Nothing to chance, Tom.
I have to say, there's 2 things about it that I really clocked. I did it once for the Cubs.
Oh, yes.
But that's not my team.
Not your team, but they're but a great historical team.
I'm a New York Yankee guy, so the pressure wasn't that on, you know.
Yeah.
But it was still. I went with my buddy and threw in the park the day before and that kind of thing. But that when it's your team, the pressure's
really on,
so much greater.
Yeah.
I wasn't as well known as you are at the time of doing everybody knows it's you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's going to be on the local news. It's that's ups it. And I always say that it's if you do it well, it doesn't mean nobody talks about it. But if you mess it up, everyone talks about it forever.
Yep.
But yours was so joyful. I think I've revised I think you can have you can nail it with a good pitch. And it will actually resonate.
I really hope so.
It seemed so joyful. They seemed happy for you. You seemed so happy. The crowd seemed happy.
Yeah, everybody was happy. And I loved that the catcher, when the ball went in his mitt and he put his head down, you did it, buddy. And that's why I hugged him so tight because usually when you throw out the first pitch, it's helpful. The catchers are great because they'll frame it for you.
Right.
If you can, that's for those of us that get it across the plate.
Yeah.
There is not a world, Tom, where I would not have practiced. Yeah. There are people who just don't practice.
I'm just going to show up.
What do you think? What?
Yeah, your first throw since seventh grade.
Right, exactly. And also, if by chance I have seen, this isn't a fiction, this isn't a, I have seen. If you see a professional athlete, a world-class athlete from a different sport, not do this well, you better practice.
Good point.
You better practice. Like a world-class athlete, then you better practice. I was practicing in their practice area right before I went out to throw the pitch.
Oh, nice.
And it was good because I was practicing warming up and kind of targeting. And the very last pitch I threw before we went upstairs was a strike. And I'm like, okay, just groove that in. Just do the same thing. It's literally like Rory yesterday. I'm saying this now, even though people are going to watch this after now. But Rory McIlroy won the Masters. Said, on that same on a whole, he said, just do the same thing. Just do, Rory, do the same stroke as you did earlier.
Yeah.
Same stroke as you did earlier.
Right.
And I just went in there. But seeing the catcher somehow made it easier. He calmed me down. I remember Elle saying to me, whatever you do, just take a breath before you throw the ball.
Yeah.
Just do, when pitchers do that, they do the thing.
Yeah.
Like that. And so I just did that, and it was glorious.
Great. It was a really good one. It really was.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
And the warmth from the crowd, and everybody was. I was happy to be there. They were happy.
So good.
It was great.
All right, let me ask you this question. They brought up a comedy thing with the sketch related. You were dialed in. You were pretty precise. You were practiced. You did all the things, and your sketches in Key and Peele always seem very well written, very tight. What's your view on improv as opposed to sketch?
So
not as a respect thing, but just as a you as an artist.
I got infected, beautifully infected, I should say, by improv, because I ended up spending a good 7 years of my life, which is well over 10,000 hours, right, just doing improvisation,
right,
and teaching it and immersing myself in it. I love improvisation as a tool. Mm-hmm. It is a skill that can be developed and a skill that can be used to in the writing process. And sometimes I think I have a facility for it, and sometimes I'm just. And I think a lot of people are doing this. Sometimes we're a director I work, a writer-director I worked with a couple times in my career. He used to call them grip laughs, meaning that you did the line in 4 takes, and then in the 5th take you changed the line, and everybody in the crew laughed. They're not laughing because it's funnier. They're laughing because it's different. So don't necessarily think that's going to get in the movie.
Interesting, yeah.
And don't think necessarily that. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with him. Sometimes it's helpful for morale, for the crew.
Yeah, the life of.
I'm a classically trained actor, so I'm a Shakespearean trained actor, like Shakespeare, Ibsen, Moliere, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, tight.
Restoration theater. Learn the line. The words are. I don't mean this to sound pejorative, but the words are weapons. Mm-hmm. In every scene, you're trying to win something. You're trying to gain something. You're trying to complete something. And you need these tools to complete that thing.
Right.
So there's more of a sense, you'd think there'd be more of a sense of security. But in the greatest acting moments, the greatest moments of truth are usually those moments we were talking about earlier, right? That kind of flop out or pop. You know, here's a moment in the poker scene in Goodfellas. Tommy, the Joe Pesci character's talking. He's trying to remember the name of a movie, and someone's going, "Oh, it's who was Gary?" And they're all talking about trying to remember the name of the movie. He's swinging this pistol around, and he goes, and somebody says, "Is it High Noon?" I think somebody, High Noon. He goes, High Noon. Or, I think that's it. That's it. It's Gary Cooper, right. And then De Niro just kind of pops outside. He goes, Shane. And then Joe Pesci goes, I can't, Shane. He stops the scene to go, I heard what you said. And it's in the movie.
Right.
And it's a beautiful little moment, natural moment. Mm-hmm. And I think those should be imbued. Mm-hmm. They should, any kind of artistic endeavor, whether it be a play or a film, should be littered with those moments.
Right.
And when I did a show on Broadway, did a Steve Martin play on Broadway with Amy Schumer and Laura Benanti and Jeremy Shamus. So much.
Wow.
I could have done it for 5 years.
Yeah, oh my God.
So much fun. And there were nights where Benanti and I, right backstage, right before the show, I go, do you want to do a plan B tonight? She goes, yeah, let's do a plan B. Meaning we're going to say all the lines, but there's going to be actions that we're going to do just to keep it buoyant and fresh. To keep Amy and Jeremy on their toes. And Amy would do the same thing. Sometimes Amy would just walk on stage like, this bitch doesn't have no shoes on. Why are you not wearing shoes? Because she's just a woman in her home. Why would I need to have my shoes on?
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, so we're dealing with that tonight.
Yeah.
Or,
it gives you life.
It gives it life. Yeah. So I'm also a person who believes, even if it is improvised, and there are friends of mine and people I respect deeply who feel differently about it. It's actually, there's some of it in the book. We interviewed Christopher Guest, and Christopher, firm, adamant believer, that improvisation, acting out a scenario is not sketch. That's his feeling. Right. His argument is a sketch is written. It is a written piece. Or as Mel Brooks said, it's a tiny play that you've written, or a sketch of a play, right? And I think that even if, no matter the source, the creative source that the story comes from, if it's small and short and contained, it's a sketch, whether it was written or improvised. So I think it's a hardy, robust argument that we can have.
It's like the end result is a sketch.
The end result is still a sketch.
Christopher Guest was saying that it's not a sketch; it's a different project.
Because it's a different art form.
Right.
And in our in improvisation, the Mount Rushmore. He's kind of Viola Spolin, put together, created a book called The Improvisation for the Theater, and Del Close, and Keith Johnstone from England for me, and then Bernie Solins, who owned the Second City for a very long time. And Bernie used to say, Del always said, improvisation is an art form unto itself. And Bernie always said, improvisation is a tool we use. It's a playwriting or screenwriting tool we use to generate material. And they were at loggerheads creatively their entire career together. It was really great.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
Are comedic films a series of sketches?
Some are. It's so funny, you're mentioning all the things that are in the book.
Yeah.
So, Airplane, there are lots of scenes in Airplane and in Airplane 2 that can live on their own in a vacuum.
Right.
So when the stewardess, I just said stewardess because I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
When the flight attendant,
in the script it was probably written
stewardess.
as
It's probably stewardess
yeah.
when she comes up, and the guy's like, the black man is like, oh man, cut me to the bone. And then his friend's like, yo, Jack, you got to help my friend get on the man's side. And Barbara Billingsley says, excuse me, miss, I speak jive. And she comes over, the guy's like, she's like, what she's saying is that she's going to go to the place and get you some medicine. He goes, man, I dug her rap. That's all right, Jack. I know what mama. What do you say?
On the downside,
he said, my mama didn't raise no dummy. I dug her rap. So if you were to do that, is that me? If you were to do that in a vacuum, that sketch I think would still work without us knowing about the fact that the string that holds the movie together is this is a parody of Airport 77.
Right.
This is a comedic parody of Airport 77. There's a thing. The plane is in crisis. They're in trouble. Let's try to land it.
Yeah.
But all that stuff that happens inside,
they're all just.
They're just sketches,
yeah.
Another example we have in the book is there's a little moment, just a tiny moment in the movie Midnight Run with Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin, where John Ashton walks up to a ticket booth to buy a plane ticket, and he's smoking a cigarette, and the guy he goes, are you gonna pay with cash, sir? He goes, yeah. He goes, and would you like a smoking seat or a non-smoking seat? And he goes, take a wild guess. And it's just, you know what I mean? It's just a nice, hard joke.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like, in improv, we'd call that a blackout. Or just a small little
just a
pop,
smack.
Just a pop, yeah. So I think that lots of comedic films, the trick, that elegance you were talking about at the beginning of our discussion is, how do I keep the full story together, intact?
Yeah.
And then in the midst of that, how do I set up funny moments? How do I set up sketches?
Beginnings and ends.
Beginnings and ends right
within.
Here. Yeah, within.
Yeah.
That's the tough part.
That is the tough part.
That's
but man, they really do make for very funny movies, right? Like Dumb and Dumbers or like the Ace Venturas, like all those that are just going to be trying to be as balls out funny as you possibly
can. You possibly can, right?
In that short time.
We did like another one. Like you think out in like Monty Python. You're in the Monty Python Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Even though, and now for something completely different, and Flying Circus are actual anthology sketch movies.
Right.
I think of Holy Grail as also a sketch movie because there's lots of scenes. If you just took the bring out your dead, you know, when Eric Roberts like ding, 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 bring out your dead. Fucking police comes out. He goes, "I'm not one there." I'm not dead. He's like, "What'd you say?" Yes, he is. I love that he just lies to his face.
Yeah,
I'm not dead. Yes, he is. He said he's not dead. You know, and so we do that in the book. That's one of the funniest things that Elle was like, Elle goes, I'm sorry, it's a little tangent, but it was funny to me because Elle goes, I'm like, okay, so if we're gonna put all these sketches in the book and. Oh, I don't know how to do the licensing. And she goes, oh, no, we're not doing any licensing. I'm like, oh pray tell. Yeah. And she goes, oh, no, you're doing all the voices.
Right.
You're doing all of the voices in all of the sketches. You're going to play Tim Conway. Right, you're going to play Dudley Moore. You're going to be Michael Palin.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be fun.
That's great.
We did, so I do all of the voices in the book. Yeah.
Did that make it longer than doing a regular?
No, it's a
audio book.
It's a little longer. The podcast is almost the book. The book is the podcast with these interviews.
Got it.
So we interview Chris Rock and Christopher Guest, and David Spade and Carol Burnett, and I'm just doing my regular voice when I'm doing I'm just like I can't do I can do a Mel. Anybody can do a Mel, But it was a lot of fun to perform. It's actually fun to perform it. Yeah. Because I got excited there. Because I'm not just reading it. I'm actually, you go into character and you do these pieces, and it was really fun.
It's amazing. Do you bet? You're a big sports fan.
I'm not a bettor.
Yeah.
I'm which is, we were talking about the Masters golf tournament.
Yeah.
That's my like crack cocaine. It's the stories.
Right.
Or when I hear about the NFL development program in Africa or Polynesia, and then some kid who grew up on a dirt floor now makes $10 million a year in the end. That is my I love it. I'm not a bettor. Are you a bettor?
No. Yeah. I'm not.
I'm not a bettor.
It's really infected everybody though.
Everybody.
It's amazing. Like I've got a group of really close high school friends, and we're all Yankee fans, and these are the guys that we were talking about the Masters yesterday, and it does infect some of like the bigger things, because not Yankee games, but like if they're watching the NCAA tournament or stuff, they're all talking about the odds and what they've got going on in
their bets.
NFL games. And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like the show. I don't like when like some of the streamers are doing sports and they'll put the percentage of like, what's the percentage that this guy will get a hit now?
Yeah, the plus this and the minus that. And
it's garbage.
It's all gobbledygook to me.
Yeah, me too.
I like the drama of it. I can find the drama and stakes in a game of two teams I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I can do that.
Yeah. I don't need the bet to.
I love the drama. The only thing I love theater, obviously.
Yeah.
The only thing that separates it from theater is the process of interpretation. Mm-hmm. They have to interpret it this way because that's the rules of the sports. Whereas a performer can interpret these written words in a different way. It's the only difference is that you absolutely, actually don't know the outcome.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. I was going to ask you a goofy question, but you got my brain on something else. Mm-hmm. When you wrote this great book on the history of this art form, and as a stand-up, like I just digest and know everything from the. It seems like with the way that there's new ways of being funny on TikTok and YouTube, and I have a feeling, and I know it just from talking to some young stand-ups, they don't really know the history. They don't know a lot of the names of the great people that came before us. How important do you think it is for performers to know the history of theater, of sketch, of stand-up?
I think it's like, I think it's super important. I'm a classicist. I love history, and I love to study history and trends from different eras and epochs and times.
Yeah.
It's part of, the love of this book.
Yeah.
My partner is a very giving person. She goes, I'm doing this because it's something that I like and is interesting to me, but I also know Keegan's going to love this.
Yeah.
I think it's important, and this is going to sound a little mercenary, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think it's important. What's the old adage? Good performers borrow, great performers steal.
Right.
Is that you don't even know who you could be stealing from. Right. Are you kidding me? Charlie Chaplin existed.
Right. Yeah.
Harold Lloyd existed.
Yeah.
You're not stealing? Do you know what I mean? Which is what the greats. I mean, Michelangelo was great because he apprenticed under a very good artist. It's
right.
It's a mill. It's like a mill.
Yeah, we're all feeding. It's like an organism.
Yeah, the fact that a young African American, if a young African American comic looks up to Dave Chappelle, boy, you should watch a Dave Chappelle interview and figure out who Dave Chappelle's heroes are.
Right.
There's no way Dave Chappelle doesn't know who Dick Gregory and Flip Wilson are, or Godfrey Cambridge.
Yeah.
It's like...
I remember seeing an interview with Flea from the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And, Flea is such his own space entity.
Yeah.
And he talks about the lineage of Miles Davis and Charlie Parker and all of these great people that came before him.
Yep.
And it's like, so you would never think
that Flea
has a working knowledge of jazz and these
musicians.
Guys,
yeah.
But we're all part of this being.
Everything that you learn will somehow influence you.
Yeah.
Somehow it will influence you.
And make you better.
And it will make you better. Because there's one artist who prides themselves in their preciseness. There's another artist that prides themselves in their chaos.
Right.
You can borrow from both of those. Because stand-up comedians in some form or another have been around for hundreds of years.
Right.
It's again,
yeah.
I'm here to plug this book. It's in the book.
Yeah.
We have a chapter about jesters.
Yeah.
And
right.
how jesters made their humor and what kind of humor. We have a couple of examples, like the Fool in King Lear was a jester.
Right.
And in a manner of speaking, Jimmy Fallon, but even to a more extreme degree, someone like Colbert.
Yeah.
Is a jester for our times.
Right.
We're punching up at the king.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it's essential.
Yeah.
To know about where you came. I mean,
I know.
You're not. By the way, it's not. Like I said, I'm a classicist, so sometimes I say things that aren't terribly romantic. There's only 7 stories.
Right.
There's 7 stories.
Yeah.
It's part of why Elle, my former partner, it's part of why Jordan and I stopped. I can't speak for Jordan exactly, but for me, I went, if we do 8 seasons of this show, it's just going to be the same scenes over and over again in new locales.
Right.
Eventually, everyone's going to burn out and go, I guess we kind of did this again.
Yeah.
So what? This is a husband who's scared of his wife in the desert,
Yeah,
and this is a
yeah.
husband who's scared of his wife in medieval times before the jousting exhibition. There's only 7 stories.
So you kind of have to change. You kind of have to change who you're doing them with.
Absolutely, because who are you? That's history. Like that. You should know that. Like, I like to read old books. Sometimes I read old books, Tom, from the 15th century. There was a book called The Decameron, which had a bunch of little old stories and scenarios in it. That's the 1460s.
Wow.
The 1460s,
Yeah.
right? Shakespeare read The Decameron. It's where Romeo and Juliet comes from.
Right.
He didn't make it up.
Right.
Yeah. So, if you can get a little help.
Yeah.
No, that's me.
Yeah.
Other people in my life, both of my partners, I learned from them. Jordan, I think of Jordan and Elle both as trailblazers. Mm-hmm. People who they come to the world at a different angle and go, this is how I see it, and I'm going to approach it this way, and I'm going to execute my art this way.
Right.
And I kind of sit back, and the best thing I can do for them
Yeah.
is allow them to express themselves, as opposed to say, so that's just like what happened on Fibber McGee and Molly in 1938
Right.
on that. They don't want to know that.
Right.
let them cook.
Right, yeah,
Let them cook, you know?
Well, this is interesting because we have a thing on this program called An Uncomfortable Moment. And it's, you know, you talk about working with other people, and this is kind of a good time to bring this out because we have our Cracker Jack staff kind of drafts things up. And if you're looking for a new idea, I was thinking maybe...
Oh, Key and Papa? You know what I would? I'd flip it. Papa and Key sounds better. Having your name first sounds better.
Oh.
Papa and Key.
I already like our collaboration.
I like, here's what else I like about this picture. I love you looking at me like, what's going on with this guy? Or, is he okay? What kind of sadness is he hiding behind that smile?
So what's wrong with my arms? I don't know where they.
I feel like somebody photoshopped that right arm in there. That's like that can't be you.
That's
is
funny.
That actually your right arm?
I don't know.
That would be great.
So you have all this great love of sketch, and you're a great actor, and you're in a ton of different other projects. Would you go back to a sketch show, or like with somebody else, or do you feel like you've done that? Let's go towards other horizons.
I'll say this. I would do it again. I feel like I'd do it again if it was with Jordan.
Right.
Otherwise, I really would rather explore other horizons. If anybody in the world, in the sketch space, could find a new way to enlighten or elucidate or dissect those 7 stories, I think it would be Jordan Peele. Mm-hmm. That's my thing. Hey, listen, I'm sure somebody else. I throw down the gauntlet to everyone if they want. Let me just say this as a side note. You know, there's a bunch of numbers that are divisible and multiple. So it's 7 basic stories, but then that leads to 21 sub stories, which leads to 49 sub stories. Do you know what I mean? Falls under this category, and fall under this category. So there's variations, but ultimately it's just the 7. He's the guy.
Yeah.
We both. I know for him, he also felt like he worked really hard and he achieved what he wanted to achieve. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, it just had been. I had been for 12 straight years. I went from the Second City to Mad TV to Key and Peele.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so now it's been well over a decade. I've been doing almost nothing but sketch.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of time to be done.
Anything we want the people to know besides the book?
You know, I'm very excited. I'm working. It's printed, right, Kara? Only Murders. I can't say I could talk about it, but yeah. So I'm going to be in the next season of Only Murders in the Building, which is really fun.
That's pretty great.
So much fun.
You shot it already?
Shooting it presently.
Wow.
And so much fun. Nice to jump on a show too. That's like there's 2 different types of excitement. One's when a show's just starting and you're finding your way and you're discovering things, and one is when it's a well-oiled machine. They're both wonderful in their own way, and this is a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it's got to be great.
And then you go to work and you find out who the other guest stars are. Yeah. And you're like, who's on it? Who? You know, you can't.
That's amazing.
On it, you know?
Yeah.
And they're having the time of their lives.
That's great.
And Marty and Steve are great. And
yeah.
Selena's just an angel. She's terrific.
Did you know them already?
I know Marty and Steve. I knew Steve from doing his show. Marty and I are both. Everybody in the Second City, it's like a mafia.
Right, yeah.
Like the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? The few, the proud, the funny. So we all know each other.
Right.
But I did Schmigadoon with Marty.
Right.
And so he's like a mentory, inspiration, big brother, uncle, funny shaman to me. You know,
that's great.
He's the best.
So that'll be out next year?
I think next year. I think it'll start premiering next year.
Oh, that's so great.
Because
there's no better feeling than knowing that even if you like stopped working for the rest of the year now, that you have something coming out.
Oh, yes.
Like you're still doing
there's
it.
Something to look for. Yeah. Also, I had mentioned to you earlier about that I was in Australia. So I shot a movie in Australia with Mark Wahlberg.
Called Fat Bats.
Called what's called what?
Fat Bats.
Fat Bats. I want to make a movie. Now I want to make a movie called Fat Bats. It's called Play Dirty.
Cool.
And it was written and directed by Shane Black. who did Lethal Weapon.
Oh, wow.
And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, wow.
He's terrific.
Amazing.
And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
And Mark's great in it. It's going to be great. That's going to be
so
great.
cool.
So yeah, so that's coming out soon.
Oh, great.
And
so you'll come back.
I'll come back, absolutely.
All
but
right.
other than that, I mean, the book.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the book. And also, if for anybody who's heard the podcast, get the audiobook, because the audiobook has extra material. It has all these wonderful, insightful interviews that we did with all of these people. Like I mentioned, Julie Louis-Dreyfus and Carol Burnett and Mel Brooks and Tracy Morgan and Kevin Nealon and Chris Rock. And it's so much
great.
fun.
Oh, it's amazing.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, great work. And it was great picking your brain about it all. And I hope you like the cookies.
Oh, I cannot wait. I'm going to go home and make a little cup of tea and then have a Vesuvio. Whether it was established in 1920 or 1930.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. You're the best.
Thanks, Tom.
You got it, Mikey.